We're going to give you Behind the Buzz. There's Rita Fasina-Thomas already in her seat.
Everybody.
I'm going to grab my coffee. And I know you guys have been looking for us. Well, we're here. Hi, Kiwi the Beauty. How are you? Awesome sculptor, awesome Atlanta vlogger. Hello, music lover. Who's that? Talent Diva. Okay. And Distinctly Johnny. Okay, that's your scope. And of course, Rhonda is behind the scenes getting into the scope. She does an amazing job of giving you some of the information that you hear us do. This is a live scope inside a real live establishment. We are in one of the best cities on the way to Atlanta. Hello! And we're inside Tuya, and I've decided to call it TGIF at Tuya. Yes. Kicking off the holiday season, you guys got a shot of the journey tree. Right next to that is a Christmas tree. But you know, in the after scope, we're going to tell you everything that's going on at Tuya. I'm here. I don't want to call it a hectic Friday. It's a good Friday.
It is a good Friday.
Because we were all busy.
Right.
And you can't be that busy unless the word has been getting out. We got people drove in today from Florida.
Florida, guys.
So shout out. Hello, Florida. Florida's in the house. They came into town because there's an awesome event tomorrow called Scope and Mingle. That's what it is, Scope and Mingle. Breakfast with the Boss is coming by today. I'm going to be there tomorrow. Okay. So they had an awesome vendor table opportunity. I decided to jump on that. And how my design habit, we had so much fun meeting you last week. And of course, we know you, but of course, getting you on the scope. Okay, first introductions. My name is Yolanda Lattimore. I'm a 14-year blogger at DryerBuzz.com. I've also written a book, because that's what you do after 14 years of blogging. I've written a book. It's called 27 Answers to Create Buzz. And the extension of that is I've always done live streaming. This is the 4th generation of live streaming. We've been live streaming since about 2008. And luckily now I have a great partner in streaming, Rita Fasina-Thomas. She helps entrepreneurs go pro. You like that tagline?
I do.
I love that tagline because, I mean, we all think we're doing good till we get in the hot seat with Rita. And we realize, wait a minute, I need to do this, and now I need to do that, because that's what it is about going pro. But tell everybody a little bit more about Distinctive Ops.
Okay, so Distinctive Ops, what we do is that we help business owners with their operational needs and with their training needs. We also write those manuals that we sorely need, especially if you have employees. Those manuals such as employee manuals and social media policy and policy and procedure manuals. Yes. You know, all those things that people just, for some reason, they're trying to save a dime until they get into trouble. And then when they need it, they're scrambling at the last minute. You know, how about your training guide? Is it sitting on a shelf? Do you even have a training guide? And if you don't, then guess what? You need one. And if you do and you're not using it, it needs to be updated and it needs to be put to use so that everybody is consistent in doing the same thing.
I'm sorry, I got excited. I saw food. What happened? Let me tell you guys, this is a meetup, okay? So you'll hear the door opening because entrepreneurs are arriving. We put out the word that, look, Rita and I wanted to get on here and talk on scope, and we decided to open it up. So we have what we call the community table. Well, we've named that now the community table. Entrepreneurs come in. Y'all, there's already some sampling of a whiskey over there because we have found a gem of distillery in town. Coffee from Community Bean that Rita and I are both drinking. I got soy chocolate toffee crunch today. What do you have?
I have caramel apple cider.
Ooh, and you love cider.
I love cider.
You love cider. This is great.
When
you know your community barista knows you and what you like. So I'm trying out hot toffee, and she has got apple cider, and the chai is to die for. And my daughter, she ordered this huge frappe, Oreo frappe, and she kept smelling my chai because it literally tastes like sweet potato pie. We decided that the chai tea with the caramel tastes like sweet potato pie. I mean, it's literally like Christmas every sip. And I kept sipping on it, and she kept getting a whiff of it. She's like, okay, well, let me try that. You know, and you know how when they get down to the end, it's like really good. And she was like, you don't want the rest of this, do you? I was like, you were there. You could have gotten your own, you know. So Shout out to Community Bean for the coffee. And we got a gentleman that's coming into it that's also handing out products. Anyway, let me tell you, and here's another one. You guys can see that. Those are some of the ebooks. I don't even want to talk about that. It's holiday season.
It is.
One of the things I did with my entrepreneurs this week is I told everybody to go to pewresearch.org every morning. As an entrepreneur, you should go to Pew Research because what they do is they do various reports each week, each month. There's a calendar there. That hold on for a second, guys. If you guys would just, I'm gonna ask them to just kind of step away from the back of the camera because it picks up all the conversation. So, what I saw this week, they had a report out there about entrepreneurs and small business people, and it said that entrepreneurs contributed to 400,000 jobs this year, just by an entrepreneur going pro, hiring that one person. What I found in talking with entrepreneurs about expanding their business is a lot of times they don't understand that when you hire that one person, you reimburse what you pay that person based on the amount of sales or business they're going to bring into your business.
Right.
How do we, and you've been talking to us really about mindset. I mean, every conversation we have with you is like trying to get us in our mindset as entrepreneurs to the next level. And that seems like that's going to really have to be a part of the conversation next year. But when we talk about going pro, from the audits you set through last week, just kind of give us a sampling as to where are we as entrepreneurs in our mindset? What did you discover from those audits last week?
From the audits last week, a little bit of fear, a little bit of trepidation, because they didn't exactly, they were just afraid to make that next step. You know, some of us are ready. Okay. And then some of us need to do a little bit of work to get there.
Right.
So that's pretty much what I learned from everybody that I spoke to.
Now, when you told them the work that they need to do, was everybody open to it, or do you think some is going to take a little work, or?
They were extremely open to it. Yeah.
Everybody was ready to learn.
Yeah, everybody was ready to learn. They just needed a little bit of guidance. That's it.
Do you think, is there like a different sense of energy or urgency now? It seems like people are really gung-ho. Is it because of the end of the year, or is it the climate, or is it the political season? But there is something that's really pushing people with the sense of urgency.
I think with the sense of urgency, we're reading a lot on social media. We're also reading a lot on the internet, in the paper, you know, where small businesses is where it's at. Okay? Not your corporation.
Rita, I'm sorry. Rhonda, is that you typing in? I don't want to be missing any of the comments. Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead.
Not necessarily the large businesses, sure, we need those. But the small businesses are the ones that are going to get our economy back to where it needs to be.
Exactly.
And hiring that one person, and giving them a chance, you're absolutely right. It is going to grow your business exponentially. Okay. Because those people know people.
And understanding that growth, I think is you know, one of the questions I think we have as entrepreneurs is, what does the growth look like? I'll get that. What does growth look like in my business, in her business, in her business? What does growth look like is the question. Did you find that people had a different sense of it, or they knew what it meant, they knew what their next steps were going to be?
They didn't know what their next steps were going to be. So that's where I said they need a little guidance. You know, because everybody's next step is not the same.
Right.
You know,
because I don't think I knew. At 14 years of blogging, I didn't know the next step would be to become an author. That was a light bulb. That was an epiphany. And where I got that epiphany was I was a big fan of Whoopi, and I remember buying Whoopi's book. And I was like, this book reads like a blog. But I know Whoopi doesn't like bloggers. But I'm like, but this book reads just like a blog. And I got to thinking, I was like, if this reads like a blog, then a blog could read like a book. Then perhaps the next step in blogging is to publish a book. And that's how I got to 27 Answers. So, you know, and there were all these different, we have entrepreneurs that are very different. You know, I just want to ask though, because this is, I'm frustrated with this. Are you part of the group or did you just come in? Are you in soliciting the ladies?
Oh, yes.
And you guys, Fine. I just want to make sure that you're also supporting each other as well.
Right.
Because it ain't that you know that he's not part of the group.
He's trying to get to watch you.
Okay.
Right.
But did you know about it? You just kind of happened in.
I just have to be just.
Right. I just want to make sure that y'all know that there was no affiliation. That's all.
Oh,
okay. All right. Okay. Good. All right. I just want to make sure.
We thank you for the disclaimer.
Okay. gotta have a disclaimer.
That's right.
Because people. I'm in that business. The people,
Right.
you guys I know from out of town. I just want lipstick is so banging on her right now. I tell you, so we're going to bring the entrepreneurs in. What we do is it's a meetup. We allow people to come in and talk about their product because we are trying to create an ecosystem.
That's right.
And when I looked at those numbers and the stats that came out on Pew Research, I was like, we are so on the money.
Yes.
And I don't know that do we know it? And you might know because you're pro.
But I don't think that everybody else knew.
Everybody else knew.
Yeah.
I mean, when I looked at that and I saw 400,000, the reports that we talked about this week on, and you can go on any of my timelines and see that, they talked about how many people are using social media. They talked about the devices that we own.
Right.
They talked about what entrepreneurs are selling and how we are contributing to the job market. And we've been throwing around, and I love the fact that I started throwing around the ecosystem term, which I learned from hanging out with Rodney Sampson and his group, the things that are going on at Tech Square. I told my entrepreneurs yesterday, I said, listen, y'all, there's a guy on Twitter, he's offering $25 million to entrepreneurs. I said, go tweet him. And Nicole, who was on last week, and Rhonda, yes, they did tweet him, right? So we're watching to see if he tweets back. And we told him he needs to bring some of that to Douglas.
Yes,
but it's that simple. It's that simple. You have that kind of access to people through social media, and there are a lot of people who aren't using that. What does that say? Promote that. Who was that? Promote that.
Who was that?
I'll promote that. Okay. That was what Paul Judge.
Yeah,
Paul Judge
on Twitter.
And follow Tech Square if you're anywhere in the region, and I mean like in the region, not necessarily in Atlanta, but if you're in the region. And I keep telling everybody, all eyes are on Atlanta because they believe that the next greatest thing is going to come from Atlanta. Most people forget that Atlanta was at the forefront of technology. I mean, we were the home of MindSpring. Anybody remember having your first internet connection on MindSpring? Right. So naturally, we have a place at the table. It's trying to get. He's looking for napkins. Listen to this: napkin stage business.
All right.
Meaning, if you could just put a couple words
together
on a napkin,
that's right.
He says that translates into 2 people and a laptop.
That's it.
Just the idea. I went to the hackathon, and these kids, this was the hackathon for high school kids, and they had a prize point of $1,000, $500, or $250. And every app, all they had to do was come up with the idea of the app, not the app. The idea of the app. Put it on paper, which is what you train us to do, and draw it. Like, what would that app possibly look like? When I tell you that in the group, even though they all came up with the idea that day at that function, they all came up in 4 different categories: education, employment, kids. Thinking about employment, They wanted to create an app so that when the teacher gives them and all of them wanted to better communicate with the teacher, be able to let the teacher know I get it or I don't get it. And one app the kids came up with was to help the teacher come up with better teaching plans.
Very good.
And they wanted to be able to grade, like while the teacher was teaching, they wanted to be able to, on their phones, instead of having to put away their phones, send her messages like, we don't get that. Because you don't see the look on my face. You don't see you don't see me not getting it. So we get to the end of the class, and I don't have it, but you have to move on. But they want to be able to interact with the teacher on their phone. They also wanted to be able, if the teacher is teaching a subject, tell me right now today how that subject becomes a life skill that I can go get a job. They want an app for that. How relevant is that? Because they said we're graduating and we don't know what we can do. But yeah, at the same time, we're telling them to go to college, go to tech school, or get a job. And they
all
can't
they're
translate.
asking is why.
It's why.
That's all.
It's why. And that's, I think, what most of us want. So the apps were in education, employment. They wanted, at one team came up with an app so that once you got to be a teenager, and you've had all these classes, or you learned this from your mom, or you learned this from your dad, to be able to equate that to a job skill, so that when they come to your small business to say hire me, you can't say to them they don't have any experience because just like they play games, they want to be able to go through different certifications online so that you can't say you got to go get more experience, because they'll be able to show you on the app, I'm certified to do this, that, the other.
That's right.
As a teenager.
That's right.
Because they do learn. Yes. So, and then health. There were two, believe it or not, there were two teams that came up with health apps. Both of them did the same thing because they see their parents taking care of parents. Okay. And you know that when I was like, oh, I like that.
Resonate with that.
Right.
Yeah.
One of them came up, said that they would develop a watch for the parent to wear, and then the caregiver could be able to go right to an app, take that person's blood pressure, communicate with them, see them, ask them questions. Pretty much, technology is already out there in some form of phase, but it's not this. There's information, like you can put devices in the house, this device management and all that, but that information goes to the doctor, and they're saying that the caregiver can't get that information.
That's right.
Have that person wake up, you answer these questions, and the older person doesn't have to learn technology because the watch would do all of that. I was like,
that's amazing.
But then to communicate to them, you don't need a lot of money to create that. Okay, but here's a guy with $25 million. All he needed to do was to know that you've got that kind of thinking mind. Right. That's what's going on. So when you see these hackathons and all these kind of things, and what we found out this year is that women won't go because we feel, when I say napkin stage, we translate that as we got to be fully on ready, we got to have a business plan, the marketing plan. The investors are almost turned off by the business plan because they figured like, well, you're already structured. You don't want to hear what I've got. I can't tell you anything. Right. But if you're at a napkin stage, that means
then
I
you're
can
open. Yeah, you're open to receiving, and that's so important because a lot of us are not open to receiving. We think that we know that we know that we know. Right. And guess what? Just like I said last week. Yes. Sure, I feel that I'm an expert in my field, but you know what? I am so open to learning because there are so many people who know a lot better than I do, want to. Yes. They know different things that I can incorporate into my business. So you have to be open. You have to be open, and you have to be flexible because there's always change.
Keyword flexible.
Yeah. Yes. If you're not flexible, if you're rigid, you're not going to grow.
What are some of the things? And you were at leadership yesterday. I think that's what you were telling me. 2016. What are some of the things that are coming down the pipe for entrepreneurs or change? When you say be open and be flexible, I always try to get like a mental picture. Like, what does that look like? Because, we all have, I'm going to do this next year. But there's so much that's going to change by the time 2016 roll in here. What does flexibility look like? Is that you, Rhonda? Is that something I need to read?
Me.
Okay.
And
is that
women?
What does that look like?
Flexibility means just that you have to be open. There are a lot of things that are coming down the pipe. I don't know what all of these things are.
Do you think we focus too much on tech, or are we at a healthy balance? Or not enough on tech? What do you think?
As women, I'm going to talk about women.
Okay.
As women, I don't think that we are as technologically savvy as we need to be.
Okay. Yeah. I know one thing I had to do was to kind of, like during this meetup, I had to step away from tech. Just even though I brought tech with me, the balance of somebody saying, okay, you need to go out and network. You still got to meet people. One of the things I said, okay, you got to meet somebody new every day. But of course, me being the person, I was like, well, how do I take that to an opportunity level for others? And so that's a new thing for me, I think. Because I would love to live in my virtual world, but you can't do that in business, can you?
No, you can't. And one thing that I've started to do, and I learned this from another entrepreneur, is when I finish doing what I have to do in my office, I get out. And you know what I do? I put on my name badge.
Right.
Because my main badge, so many people ask me, what is Distinctive Op Services?
Right.
You know, that's a conversation starter.
Right.
So I can tell them what my business is and what I do.
Okay.
And I in turn ask them, so what do you do?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we get the conversation started that way. You have to get out.
Right.
You have to get out.
Right. One other part of us scoping together, we've talked about fear. Hey, lady, and fear we've all pinpointed what our fear point was.
Right.
What do you recall? Was there anything that really like stood out for us this year?
No, not that really stood out. I think a lot of us have the same fears.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to address them. We need to.
Did Santa Claus just go by? Did y'all hear that?
I heard the bells. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry.
We need to address those fears because not until you address them can
Right.
you get over them.
Right. Hey, Jason Hodge, let's shout out some of the people that are in the scope. I appreciate you guys watching. As you know, we were a little worried today because of the issues that Periscope has been having.
Right.
And I think they were just pretty much hit because of the holiday. But Jason Hodge, a media planner, Jason is also a very healthy person, and he's still riding me for having canned cranberry sauce for Christmas. Okay. Well, we decided there's Team Bougie Cranberry Sauce, and then there's Team Canned Cranberry Sauce. Okay, and it 96% love the canned stuff. I'm just saying. So we're stalking Jason's scope. We're gonna find a can of something in his kitchen. Shakita Lee, we see you. Kevin Shane, B-Fab, and Free. Carolyn and Mary Kate is in there. Monica Black, A.N. Hackney and Company. Rhonda Huggins, who is also texting us out and getting all the messages and link. Rita Fasina-Thomas is sitting right here with me. Adrian Graham, Paula, music lover, and then those of you that are watching on the web, you need to go ahead and download Periscope. It's TGI Fridays inside Tuya. We're getting ready for holidays at Tuya. Hello, is that Shrine? That's you. Pronounce that for me. Tremacan Goddess is just drove in from Florida. She's in town for a Scope and Mingle, which is happening tomorrow. And so we expect some more as everybody rolls to Douglasville. The door opens once again. And that will be, is that Mr. Nita? And I was getting ready to talk about Breakfast with the Boss, and they just rolled in, so we're going to bring them on as well. Since we've got such a good connection and a good audience, what we're going to do, normally we would stop the scope and then do an after scope, but we're going to keep it going. Let's see. Hello. Let me see. Everybody saying hello and scope. Hey, No Better TV. How are you? Jay Soapbox just came in as well. My name again is Yolanda Lattimore. I'm the editor of DryerBuzz.com, and sitting here with Rita Fasina-Thomas. She is how do you call yourself? Do you say proprietor or owner? What do you? And to help us with these titles, how do we title ourselves in our business? Because sometimes people put CEO.
Right.
I never met a nice CEO. I just never met a nice. But a lot of people like to put that on their card. How should we title ourselves on our card?
It's individual.
Okay.
It's totally individual.
Okay.
On my card, I have owner-president.
Owner-president.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But that's just such a role. And we see people try to put really creative. Let's talk about the business card. Everybody put out, if you got your business card, I want to know what's on the card.
Right.
Mine says
that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to audit the business card. Okay. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do as a business card. Can you hand me that down there, Mouse? Slipped up under her chair.
Sure.
I spent most of you watching me scope this week at Office Max.
Okay.
I was still trying to figure out my signage, and I did this off my Instagram to go on my vendor table at Breakfast with the Boss this weekend, because I was like, I gotta have some kind of signage, because I can't decide on what to go on the business card, because I've always had a business card for DryerBuzz, but now I want to do a business card for 27 Answers. But I don't want to be that person handing people 2 and 3 cards.
Right.
It's like you got to promote one thing.
Yeah.
Or one front and back.
Master, you're not gonna step in the camera, but
I don't think so.
Yeah. Y'all know that voice that's always to the side of the camera.
That would be Mouse.
That would be Sharon Master Brown. Okay,
The Queen. That's my card.
Your business card says the Queen.
Why should I get that?
Yeah, I think you need to put those hashtags, artsy and art lover and art life.
That's right.
I think you should let's go back to talking Rita. Hey, everybody, I see your comments. We're coming to your comments. Entrepreneurs in there. And you finna start crocheting over there. What are you making? Okay, we got to get to introducing Behind the Scope, okay, for Behind the Buzz. Our studio audience is starting to fill in. Our entrepreneurs are coming.
Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love. And I know when that hotline blink, that can only mean one thing.